and grew up in Australia, and talks about how landscape watches you. The ancient mountains sort of sit back and judge us and say, figure it out, you know, learn. And so it was important to him. It was set in Idaho. We actually filmed it in Calgary because Calgary offered 3 or 4 different types of landscape and incredible lighting. I think it was Terrence Malick who first went up there in the 70s and realized you could shoot magic hour for nearly 4 hours. So you get this beautiful light after 6:30 p.m. right up to about 11 p.m. You can still shoot without lighting. And it was important, given the setting, that rural Idaho, that we find a landscape that really lets this human drama unfold, as I said, with some sort of ancient judgment, because you're watching people do terrible things to each other. What interested me, wow, well, my partner Ben, who's here today, was with us last night celebrating the opening, read it first. He had a relationship with Zach Balin, the writer. Zach first had an idea after the 2016 election and sort of followed his nose into various ideas that led him, I think, to Timothy McVeigh. When he visited the Oklahoma museum that looked at Timothy McVeigh's actions, there was a copy of the Turner Diaries. He learned about the Turner Diaries led him to the Order, and we couldn't, once you read it, you couldn't believe this story hadn't been told before. So there was a sense of what a great opportunity to tell this story. There was another great opportunity to make a genre film. Justin came on board as director and really reminded us of how some of my favorite films in the 70s and 80s, in the hands of some of the great directors, Friedkin, Lumet, Michael Mann, were making elevated genre films, and it seemed to be something that stopped happening. I don't know why. It's like genre suddenly became not a bad word, but a word for commercial filmmaking as opposed to intelligent filmmaking. You combine the two and you really have something, I think, very interesting. And Ben also pointed out that this role was perhaps something I hadn't done before. It was something very male and stubborn and broken about him that I really found fascinating. The idea of trying to find a fragility within that. And what was fortunate was I wasn't playing a character who, it wasn't based on any of the real special agents. We actually made him an amalgam. A lot of the other characters in the film are based on real characters and are represented as such. It seemed important that Husk was a sort of composite and really was used in the best way to tell the story. So the whole backstory of a family lost, the physical deficiency of the stent that you realize he's had because he has a scar and he bleeds from the nose because he takes these pills and drinks too much. All of that was us trying to work out how best to serve the story, really. I wanted you to feel like his best years were behind him and really question whether he had it in him. I told you I had long answers. I'll keep rambling on all day.
It's all right, they're here to hear you, don't worry.
I silly heard myself thinking, everyone's falling asleep.
Nobody is falling asleep, absolutely not. But I do have a couple of kind of interesting stories that I came across about the filming of this and the preparation for this. I want to talk to you a lot about characterization because I know you go to great lengths to get into your character. But I read that actually your character and Nicholas Holt's character, who plays Bob Matthews, you were kind of kept apart until the very, very first scene that you had together. I mean, did that have a great impact on this scene itself? I mean, what was the idea behind it?
I still don't know whether that was a plan of Justin.